Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 106. Unfortunately, no one told me for 3 hours that my microphone wasn't working, so this is a re-edit. It won't be as good as the original, and I will probably cut out some of the material to key points. Good to be back for a new live. I've got John, a couple of new guys, Decoder and called Silver, and A51, which I'm not sure his first name is, joining us. Although they probably won't get to talk much. I'll do most of the talking probably. So I'll type up the welcome message like I normally do and carry on with the topics. And as expected, someone makes a noise in the background while I'm talking and makes some strange sound effects like they're in the toilet with their smartphone or whatever while doing the live stream. I left it in because it's kind of funny.
I believe that's Silver.
No. I was getting water. I was getting water out of the fridge.
They're using Discord that we have set up. You can join it too. We use it for offline chatting about UFOs and other topics. You can post your stuff there that you want analysed by us, or just general UFO talk there. And we use it also on our lives, so you can get to talk with me during a live stream and bring in your videos of UFOs that you've got captured yourself and just have a bit of fun. So you can find the link there in the toolbar or the about section of my YouTube channel. Just hit the Discord and sign up with your account. Try to use a name that doesn't have spaces in it as best, I find. And yeah, we go from there. I talk about Secureteam's latest video that he's put up about deathbed confessions, and this particular part of showing alien bodies is actually a X-Files prop. It wasn't made clear on the video. It should have a disclaimer on the screen so people don't get fooled by it.
Yeah, he's good. Oh, you know what? I think those were when it was the early part of the series, and there was like a train car buried in the desert on the Navajo reservation, and it was full of these bodies. I think that's what this is from.
I play a clip of the so-called confessions, but there are problems with the confession story and year numbers. The sheriff wasn't made deputy until 1953, apparently, way after the Roswell incident.
They had already they're taking them out and everything, and they were soldiers there, but I don't have any service. It must have been.
A new video has just been released of a deputy sheriff who is describing what he saw the day of the Roswell UFO crash, and that, quote, dead aliens were being taken out of a flying saucer. Hey, what's up, guys? Tyler here with Secureteam. So the man you're seeing here goes by the name of Charles H. Forgis, and he is a former deputy sheriff of Big Springs in Howard County, Texas, who is the latest person to claim to have witnessed the legendary UFO crash in the desert nearly 70 years ago. Now, of course, many of you know what the Roswell crash was, and if you don't, well, it was a purported crash of an alien flying saucer in July of 1947, just outside of...
As you can see, Secureteam didn't list the source of the article, so I couldn't get a proper copy of it and enhance the quality of it for the live. But this is not the only deathbed confession from Serious Disclosure Project. There has been other ones which have been questionable, which I will cover in a minute.
Story. Now, while we're on the subject of deathbed confessions, there is another very intriguing video confession that was released by, I believe it was Open Minds TV, of a CIA agent who, just before he passed away, was quoted as saying that he saw aliens and the Roswell UFO, and that the craft had...
So I bring up another episode I made a while ago about Boyd Bushman confession, and also about the alien doll. He put up a picture to David Sereda, claiming it was a alien body, and it was later debunked to be a store doll that you can buy from the Roswell Museum or similar type shops. We questioned why a scientist of his caliber from Lockheed Martin would ever want to fake such a stuff, knowing that it would eventually be found out. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, unless he's part of the disinformation team by the government. Or was he just simply gone senile and crazy, which is a possibility. So, yeah. So then we look at David Sereda himself to try and verify his qualifications, and we didn't have much luck in searching that down. So you can see here, we bring up on the screen, searching his information and reading it out, which I probably won't do here, but you can read it yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Sedona, Arizona. That right there should be a tip off that it's total BS. Oh, man.
I also talk about the magnets here. Apparently if you get two weights of the same, but have one of the weights made up of two rare earth magnets opposing each other's fields, strapped together by maybe duct tape, and then drop it from a high enough building, the magnets are meant to fall slightly slower than the other comparable weight. But I show here in this episode, which I'll post down into the side links, that's not the case, and someone has tried to duplicate it. An Indian guy has tried to duplicate it and got inconclusive results on it, because you got wind factor, and of course David Sereda was dropping it by his hands and not by a machine mechanism which drops it at the same time. But the Indian guy did do that with a release platform. But basically it was determined that there was no difference, and David Sereda dropping it by his hands wasn't good enough for a good experimental test to prove it. And so we sort of questioned again his qualifications being a scientist and find out what his background is. So now we look up David Sereda stuff. Here's a picture of what he looks like, and you may recall him from the NASA Tefa incident, where he did like a 2-hour lecture on it, saying it was like the Doppler discs with the notch in the side and the hole in the center, but it was later confirmed that that was due to internal lens workings, like the parts of the actual lens and the telephoto part of it. So the hole in the middle and the notch was what you were seeing from inside the camera from it being overzoomed, which was covered on probably UFO Hunters episode. You probably can dig it up and have a watch of it to see how they debunked it there. So yeah, we're trying to find out who David Sereda is, and basically he's a jack of all trades by the looks of it. And yeah, we couldn't find any official qualifications, whether he had university degrees, doctorate, but he seems to be like a consultant for various people, and a musician, actor, and all sorts of other crazy stuff. He also was on Art Bell's show talking about out of body, and Art Bell was quite interested in that. He had a sensor deprived tank in his basement, and he invited Art Bell to go and try it out, which I'm not sure if Art Bell ever did. But it's on a particular radio episode, which I will point out here on the live stream when I find it.
I haven't heard of this. Yeah, it is a cubit. And it's cubit. Yeah, oh yeah, cubit? Are you kidding? It was dictionary. Yeah. Cubit. C-U-B-I-T.
Sereda seems very religious, and he believes that God talks to him in his dreams and told him about Noah's magic maths, or the God cubic, which is, I read a paragraph here, but I won't do it now in the re-edit, but you can pause it and read it if you want to. But it's kind of crazy sounding. So yeah.
Well, yeah, actually, on the BBS site thing here, and this was for, where is it? Yeah, because, all right, David is co-founder of Voice Entertainment, director, producer, filmmaker, photographer, author, public speaker. He's also a well-known space scientist, spiritual explorer. I mean, this guy pretty much has his fingers in every pie, and also does, he's been on Art Bell and George Noory and Coast to Coast and this and that. So yeah, it's the same guy. He's just, I mean, he's like, he does everything. No, you have to click on the link. It'll show you all. It's all written down there. Yeah, and he's like, oh, okay, go for it.
And we noticed David was interested in water crystals and the use of sound to generate them, and frequencies. And I talk about my episode I did called The Power of Sound, the Good, the Bad and Ugly, where I talk about the water crystal experiments and how it was cherry picked and actually falsified by the guy that was creating the experiments, and David was interested in the guy's work. So being a scientist, he should have known to check out him very carefully, that he wasn't being hoodwinked. Obviously he's been hoodwinked about the crystals, or he's a bit of a con man himself. Now he did play some of the sounds of the universe also on an Art Bell episode, which I find and point out here next.
Oh yeah, he did. Mm-hmm. Oh, and he's also a world leader in lucid dreaming, astral projection technology. What a schmuck! Oh, an isolation tank? Yeah. I wasn't surprised. I'm on his website, right? Yeah. Right. No. Nice. God. Nice. Oh God. Whoa. That's wrong, man.
The next I talk about a viral video that's been doing the rounds about a UFO caught on CCTV camera that looks like it's going through a window, because we can see a reflection up on the top corner there on the right, and we see this Mexican shaped ring light that seems to go on the left side top corner in the video, and this comes from Broome Police, Australia, I think it is, and basically it's a lens flare from the car that's reversing in the bottom right. Nothing supernatural about it, or paranormal, or alien related. It's just light reflecting off the internal lens of the camera. But also there is some reflection. It looks like the camera might be in a box of glass, or maybe being filmed from a window of a shop, or even through another car window, which I don't think so in this case. But you can see that the camera zooms in towards the tree, which is lit up by the car lights, but you can see how it sort of reverses, and the object on the left changes position until the car disappears out of the camera view completely. So does the so-called alien UFO saucer at the top left disappear. So you can see it's all connected here, and I point out that Scott Brando has also said the same. But yeah, it's a combination of lens flare there and also some reflections being captured. How traffic cops, or whatever they are, can be fooled by this, I don't know. They're meant to be expert witnesses, and to me this just shows that even police cops can be fooled by video evidence, and probably aren't always the best eyewitness themselves. And that's always been pointed out in the UFO community, that police and pilots and military are the most expert witnesses. But even so, everyone is human and also fallible to being misled by stuff. So next I search online for lens flare to see if I can find a match to compare it to the one in the picture, just to show you that it's a lens flare. And I find one that's like a blue lens flare from a sunrise or sunset happening, and do a side-by-side comparison. It's definitely got the same, almost the same angle and shape, and the middle bit that goes up like a hat. And we also find this one from Russia with the spiral pattern happening with the rocket that went out of control and started spinning around sideways, making the spiral pattern until it got into the middle and then changed direction and headed straight down into a spiral, a smaller spiral pattern heading towards the ground before it exploded. So yeah, that made a nice interesting pattern there, which we come across while we're looking for the lens flare. So I thought I'd show and talk about that as well, in case people weren't aware what it was.
A fly with one wing.
The next topic, I point out that Mick West from Metabunk has made a video trying to demonstrate it with a camera and some models, that a bird or a small object passing close to the camera will look like it's going really fast, and it will match up with the Utah drone footage. He's saying it looks like a bird. So yeah, I'll just play this here. Of course, I'll post the full episode link in the side.
These as large, like something zipping by a drone. Some people interpreted these as large, fast alien spacecraft, but I think these are actually very small, slower objects, like birds or insects, are quite close to the camera, and they just look big and fast because we interpret them as being far away. I call them drone zip-bys. Some people have done computer simulations to show how this illusion can happen, and I plan to do some myself later, but I always like to do a physical recreation if possible. I don't have a drone, so I started out by throwing rocks at my camera, then from behind the camera. Neither of these were very useful as the motion was mostly vertical. Next, I tried throwing a paper plane at my camera. It was really hard to get close, so I switched to the other side, and after a few goes, I finally got one. I played it in reverse, and then sped it up to typical drone speed. I then compared it against the Utah video. Wanting more control, I tied some fishing line to my gate post and then to my fence below, and I made a UFO out of some card and a pen tube. This slid down the line at about 7 miles an hour. I was able to get it fairly consistently flying by the camera. I sped it up to 28 miles an hour, and it's not a bad match for the Utah video. I adjusted the angle as close as I could and then did a comparison. I wanted to try moving the camera instead of the object, so I got on my bike holding my phone and pedaled towards a small UFO hanging from a tree. Unfortunately, it's a bit hard to see. It kind of matches up with the Utah video in parts. But so far my zipline recreation is the best I've done. I should probably just buy a drone.
So I also look for a falcon near miss on a drone video that I come across and show the guys that you can't see it. It just appears suddenly out of nowhere and heads towards the drone very fast, but it's on the opposite side to what the Utah UFO drone footage had, and it's very similar. You can see the falcon flaps its wings, glides, and zooms right past the drone. So I keep repeating it and slowing it down and pointing it out with the cursor whereabouts it shows up, as you can see on this footage here.
Oh, wow. Cool. Right. Yeah. 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 Ooh. Yeah. Oop, there it is. Crazy.
I also point out this video is a lot sharper in detail because it's obviously using shutter mode of 1/1000 to 1/8000 frames or pictures per second, and so we can actually see what it is as it's approaching the drone. So they just take it on shutter mode and then convert it back into normal video mode, 24 frames a second, and we got near HD quality, and we can see what the object is, unlike the Utah drone footage. The next topic was a continuation from the last live, talking about the SOHO sun images and how you can convert them into true 3D using these red, blue, green glasses that you can get. You can buy them, or you normally get them when you go to the 3D pictures or seminars, or have those on the plane. You also can get to keep the glasses. So I've got a pair of those from the plane. And here's some images that NASA have put up where they combined the images from the SOHO into 3D, so you can actually see the flames leaping off the surface of the sun.
Correct.
And tells you how to create your own ones, which is quite nifty. And I will post all the links to these in the side comments, which if I redo this video, I'll post it in a comment or description. Hopefully I'll just copy the comments from the side and paste it, hopefully. See how it goes.
Right. Thanks. That's kind of cool, though.
Fortunately, I can't recall everything I said on this particular section of the live stream that I'm having to redo. There was some science talk and how to make them, and we also looked at what they had there on the solar storm, so we could see comets approaching the sun. So we look at various videos of comets passing the sun or skimming past it and orbiting around it, and we see fragments break off. We also see this solar storm, which is pretty crazy, and we point out various things that we can see in the background, like planets orbiting and stars moving, because the Earth is moving around the sun, and so are the cameras. So obviously the background's going to change, and we're going to see things orbiting the sun also come in view, and comets, things crash into the sun or just bypass the sun, fling out back into space. Yes, some pretty good images here which are worth having a look at, so again, it'll be in the links.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. What a cool shot. I love that. Oh, movie camera. Oh, I've seen Saturn though. That's cool as heck. Yeah, yeah. As well. Yeah, very small. Right. Zoom. Yeah. Sure. Yes. Mhm.
I Google and find out what causes a meteorite shower, and it's basically fragments that break off comets as they orbit around each year, and there's various meteorite showers that happen each month, and you can look them up online. So yeah, leftover space debris and bits that break off comets as it heats up, goes around the sun, and then the bits gradually get pulled in through gravity of the Earth, and we get meteorite showers, sometimes up to 1,000 an hour in some cases. And Robert's Alexia Emerson, I guess, gadget decided to tell us what it was, even though we didn't ask it to, so we had to tell it to shut up, which is kind of funny.
Oh, like the Perseid meteor shower?
The Perseids are considered one of Earth's brightest and most plentiful meteor showers. They occur annually from 14th through August 24th. The particles of Perseids that ignite in the atmosphere come from the comet.
Alexa, cancel.
The meteor shower's radiance, or point of origin, appears to be the constellation Perseus.
And there it was. It did, man. And I've got my headphones on, so shoot. Yeah, see, that's the whole thing. I've got my headphones on, so I don't even know how she heard that. Sneaky, man, I'm telling you. Yep. Well, I just muted her mic so she can't hear me, technically.
We look at this one and see some big square artifacts appearing on the
plasma
emanation,
nose.
and mention that the Secureteam or hoax channels would say that was a big UFO, when clearly it's just artifact caused by radiation burst.
Yeah, I don't know that is. Tyler, of course, would call it a UFO, a mothership flying away after gassing up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like. Oh, you would think so, gosh. Especially with an ejection that big.
We look at crazy solar ejections, or biggest bursts ever. It makes you wonder why it doesn't cook the planet Earth. Just the bit it filled obviously does a good enough job, but one day it may not, and this is why we've got to get off planet and start colonizing other planets, or at least get out into space, livable spaceships, because the planet Earth could be destroyed in an instant. Maybe something crashed into the sun, like a big comet. As we saw, there was some planet-sized ones. So there could be even bigger ones out there, crash into the sun, cause it to eject a massive amount of ejection of solar particles or plasma, and cook planet Earth, and leave it for dead. Or a big comet crashes into the planet like it killed the dinosaurs, so they say. So yeah, we just got to get out in space. Our human race will never survive thousands of years, and we're spending too much money on wars when we should be concentrating on medicines and medical care, education, and colonies in space. Start actually getting better technology out there in space and building bases, and
Yep.
just do it. get together. The world need to get together and just organise something.
Yeah, it just leads to more and more questions. That's okay. That's what keeps us learning. Or
as you can see in this one, at the very end it creates a burst of radiation which affects the cameras on board the SOHO satellite observatory, and hoax channels would say that was thousands of UFOs the size of planet Earth, because the sun can fit 1,000 Earths, and one of those pixels is equivalent to the size of a planet. So yeah, it's just crazy, the amount of interference the sun can cause out in space there, where it's got less of an Earth's magnetic field protecting it. Some crazy wonderful captures from NASA there.
So it looks like every minute. Yeah, it is. Gathering.
Next I'll look at the surface temperature of the sun. It almost turns out to be 6,000 Kelvin, which is 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, or 5,500 degrees Celsius. And there's no material. We have a look at the materials list to see what can withstand that sort of heat or temperature, and there's no element on the planet that can withstand the surface sun temperature. So, but we are creating a probe that's heading towards the sun, and we try and find out the specs and details about this probe and the name of it, which is called the solar probe. And they're using a special shield that's made of carbon. So carbon actually has a very high melting point, and better than metals. Tungsten was the one with the highest threshold, but carbon can go even higher, and so they're using a combination of a carbon's foam, which has got pockets of air, which reduces the heat transferring from the shield that they've got in the front, so it can get to I think it was 4 million kilometers away from the sun, which is obviously not going to be the same temperature as on the surface of the sun, and it can withstand that sort of temperatures with the heat shield and the components or elements that are made from Earth there, because the melting points are high enough. So they're not using a magnetic shield like Earth to protect it, because if they did that, they wouldn't have the instruments working. So we're just doing some research here, trying to figure it all out. And as you can read here, we'll show you some diagrams, and you can read some of the stuff on the screen if you want to. But I'm not going to read it all out again. In fact, I can't even remember what I said. It's a shame that my mic wasn't working. It was quite a good live science research little live we did there.
Right. Gosh, no, I don't. So
So all the next part, you can pause and read what it says there, but it talks about the design of the Sun or SOHO probe and how it works. I didn't play the clips, fear of copyright. I don't want any more issues with context IDs if I can help it. But
wow, that's pretty clever. Wow. That's okay. Diversity. Oh, yeah.
Then we just look at various temperatures of carbon that's used in the shield, and look at other things like metamaterials, which are said to be used by UFO skins to withstand high impact, repair itself, and withstand high heat, and can be embedded with maybe some cloaking technology as well as high voltage to cause a anti-gravitational field around the craft. If you've watched some of my other lives about Tesla's research, Townsend Brown's research, and their theories about what gravity is and how to nullify it or control it. Then we will start looking at the Soviet space shuttle, as I talk about, that they stole most of the plans and built their own space shuttle, but they actually made it better. But there was a design flaw, as we know, with the space shuttle tulls. They were constantly a problem, and the Americans changed the formula for the glue to keep the tulls on after the plans were stolen, which the Russians didn't know about. And of course, if they kept flying the space shuttle, it was doomed to fail at some point and maybe kill people. But they were the first to make it unmanned, remote control, remote landing, so they didn't need people aboard. And also, they designed the rockets better, and they didn't have the extra engines on the space shuttle like Americans' version, and stuck it on the boosters instead, which gave it more payload capacity. And also they found that because they copied the space shuttle, that the Mir space station fittings were designed for their space shuttle, which they scrapped in the end. I think it was destroyed in a fire that we read on the web pages here. So they got various bits and pieces in museums in Russia still. But yeah, Space Shuttle obviously had the same fixtures, so there was no problem docking to the Russian space station. So there was quite a lot of information that we found there that was quite interesting, and some diagrams at the end here, and that was probably the last topic that we covered. Unfortunately, I don't know everything I said there or found out, but I was trying to find the documentary where it was talking about the espionage and the toll problem. But yeah, we found a lot of more information there. It was quite interesting about how much better it was, and the new design of it had 4 boosters instead of 2 like the American version.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. It's so blurry. There we go. Nice. I haven't either. Interesting name. Right. Smyrna. Yeah, good old Smyrna. It is indeed. Yep. ICBMs. Yes, indeed. We've got ICBM silos around within 30 miles of my house. They're deep. Yeah, we've got decommissioned ICBM silos within 30 to 40 miles of my house here.
I actually read all this out, but I'm not going to be able to do it now. So you just have to pause it and read it yourself, this document, but we'll have posted the links in the comments for you, and you can read it directly off the web pages as well. So we pretty much wrapped it up there, and said see you next live stream, and played the end credits. So hopefully you enjoyed that re-edit cap, and I'll see you next live. It should be Thursday, which is 1 p.m. my time, lunchtime on Friday. So Thursday, probably in California, be like 5 p.m. on to 8 p.m. So there should be more people be able to make that time slot than this one I just did at 9 p.m. my time Wednesday, which is Tuesday midnight to 2 a.m. for those guys on at the moment. So Yeah, and if you can't make the Friday one, which is your Thursday, you can perhaps make my Sunday one, which is 7 p.m., which will be 10 p.m. California time Saturday. So, depending on where you are in America, hopefully there's a time slot or that suits you. So, yeah, thanks for sharing and liking, and I'll see you next episode.
Um, yeah. Good God. I've never seen that before. Oh, I guess. Jeez. I know. Man. Sure as heck looks like looks heavier peg. Yeah. I don't know. Good question. Oh, absolutely. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Won't step in them. I guess they didn't Zelmer child. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, the Russians probably didn't realize that Elmer's glue was not going to hold on the tile. I don't know. Yep. Good. Take care.